Avi Meyer's Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, and I hope you enjoyed all the footage from the Jewish Fest. It's time to shift gears now. We're in the middle of August. Summer's kind of ending. And you know what? I got a very interesting call from a lady who watches the show on a regular basis who says, like you and other people have talked in the past about tenant rights. What about us landlords? And then she told me, she detailed this horror story where she actually, in this society, she tried to do something that was good. She took the tenant's security deposit. She put it in her CD. She was paying all her tenants 5%. Okay, it's not actually in this neighborhood. It was somewhere around Diversey. And basically what happened is this lady then never paid a nickel of rent, and she was able to use the fact that the security deposit didn't get put in the right place to make things delayed. And I think she's working on close to a year without getting a nickel, and that person's still entrenched in the apartment. So it took me to heart. So I called up my friend Mike Glasser, who was very involved in the Rogers Park Builders Group and RogersPark.com and all that. And he recommended the next two guys to me, and I want to welcome Marty Max. How you doing?
Hi, nice to meet you.
My pleasure. And John Bruac. Am I
Yes.
pronouncing that right?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. First of all, thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
And do any of these problems I mentioned sound a little bit familiar, or doesn't have to be exactly? But what kind of problems do you guys have?
As
First
far
of all, are you the head of the Rogers Park building thing now? Or?
I was president of the Rogers Park Builders Group for the last 6 years.
Okay.
John is our new president for this year.
Congratulations.
So Glasser was 6 years ago. So you've got the last three of
Cool.
the Rogers Park Builders Group. So yeah, security deposits have been an issue for landlords. In fact, John and I, we don't take security deposits anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
So
We do not.
it is a way for some lawyers to capitalize on a mistake, and so with the landlord tenant rights, we've decided, and a lot of people in the city of Chicago don't even take security deposits anymore.
Wow, I was totally unaware of that.
Yeah.
So I would assume too that keeps you safer from possible trouble, abuse, and all that.
Oh, yes.
Well, it becomes if you don't have a security deposit, a lot of lawyers aren't going to want to take the case because that is a home run for them because there's really no real possible way to follow the law. You
Yeah.
cannot truly abide by it. We've talked to multiple lawyers, and everyone has a different opinion on how to do it, and none of them are the same.
Well, with the tenant rights in the city of Chicago, a landlord can't make a mistake. And if we make a mistake, we don't have the right to cure. So we open ourselves up to a legal battle with an attorney who has no limits of fees. So he may say, in the particular instance with what you opened up the program with, that lady was supposed to put that security deposit in a separate account.
Yeah.
It cannot be used for anything except for an escrow account for the security deposit. If you commingle or if you put it into a CD with other monies or whatever, it doesn't matter what you're giving or back, you're commingling.
Yeah.
That person goes to a lawyer and says, hey, my landlord commingled. Ooh, okay. Well, let's see, we'll get you double or triple your security deposit, and maybe I could get a fee of who knows how much because there's no limit on it. And then if you don't cooperate with the tenant and their lawyer, then that lawyer can do a massive investigation on all your doings, and then it could become pretty open.
Wow. That really doesn't sound desirable.
No, it is not.
Wait, she's got a problem. So basically, the lawyer's fee would be taken also from this whole business.
Yes, it would.
Yes.
And that's why the lawyers are interested because that's how they make their money.
So, but on the other end too, let's understand that if they really bang up your place, then you're just out.
Well, if they bang up your place and you have a security deposit, you have to take pictures, you have to document, you have to show receipts of repairs. You've got to really, really do your job and to show what the damages were for you to take that. In all the years, many years ago when I did take security deposits, I never took a security deposit.
You were too afraid for any rebuttal. But here's the interesting point: is typically your good tenants
Yeah.
we'll pay your last month's rent, and then you give them the security deposit. Well, most of the time, your tenants who are going to be a little shady aren't going to pay your last month anyways.
Yeah.
Right. So you're already out. Right. So I think the idea is just to stay clear, because there's no true way to really keep in the law. And if somebody makes one mistake with a $2 return in 1 year of an interest, because interest is very minute, right? It's a 1%, a fraction percent, 1.5%, depending on the year, because it changes yearly. So if I miss one payment or that payment is wrong, even by 10 cents, that could be a major problem.
Actually, with the help of Alderman Stone, last year we brought up the landlord-tenant right thing, and we did get something that if a landlord gave a return of the security deposit and the interest was incorrect, but they legitimately gave the attempt and it was calculated wrong, we do have the right to correct that. That's the first time we've ever had that.
Oh, well, common sense in the law. That doesn't sound. No one. Yeah. Now Stone's not in office anymore, unfortunately. That's what you get for using common sense in government.
Right.
And then the second one was, if they gave you one check, you're able to put it in one checking account and then move the funds over. Where before, if you took one check and put it in your checking account, it was too late. You couldn't do anything about it.
You couldn't take one
Wow.
check.
So you were screwed already.
You were screwed already. But now you're able to take that one check, and then as long as you quickly move the funds into your security deposit account, you are technically okay.
Yeah. Boy, this is an education. Thanks, guys. Tell me your standpoint on Section 8. I've heard it from a community standpoint during the community policing meetings, and people point and wildly blame. And I should also point out, as we talked before, I've got two nieces whose husbands are postgraduate seminary students, Shiva, and they're on Section 8, and I know that they're good, honest, decent, law-abiding people. So, what's your experience with Section 8?
My experience throughout my buildings, I have buildings on the north side, the west side, and the south side.
Yeah.
So we cover pretty much all of Chicago. And my experience has been very good with Section 8. And I have to admit that when I first got into this business, I was probably, stereotype type of thing, and I've learned a lot since then. Not all Section 8 is bad. In fact, we have noticed that most of our Section 8 tenants are very good tenants that just need a little help. All are basically working.
Yeah.
We take a Section 8 tenant just like we would take somebody off the street. They have to be approved by credit. They have to have, our credit allowance of how much money. What we do, though, is in their income, we will include that Section 8 money as their income, obviously.
Yeah.
So they would qualify. But if they have a criminal background, or if they've been foreclosed on before, they're looked at the same exact way as somebody off the street has been.
So you do criminal background check?
Oh, we do a credit check, we do a criminal check, we do a sexual predator check.
Wow. That's pretty good. That's now what does that all cost?
For those checks?
Yeah.
$16.
Total?
No, it's right.
I mean,
between a criminal check and the credit check, it's right around $50. We charge a $50 application fee.
Yeah.
It's right around there, give or take a few dollars.
So okay, that's not. The cheapest rent you could be talking these days is something like $600, $700, $800 for the smallest place in the world. That's probably too low. So for $50, for a one-time check, doesn't sound like a terrible thing at all. Plus, it's for your own protection.
Absolutely. You want to know who's in your building. It doesn't matter if they're Section 8 or a regular market rate 10.
Yeah.
I mean, they can come from another eviction. Do you want them to really come into your property? I don't think so. I mean, it only makes common sense. I mean,
we really do it not only for our protection, but the protection of our other tenants. We're not living in our building, but you are. So you want to make sure that we do our job, that you don't have somebody of violence or somebody, sexual predator, or somebody living next to you. So, that's the way that our office, I'm sure John's office is the same. They'll say, well, why do I have to pay? Do I get this money back? No, that's what it costs, and this is to protect you, because you want to know who's living next to you.
And it's common sense, a good business practice. I mean, we're a businessman. I mean, this is our business. We want to make sure our rents are what we use to pay all our utilities and everything else that goes with it. And obviously, that's how we make our living. So you want to make sure you're going to receive that income. So you want to make sure that you are giving that person a $60,000, $70,000 unit. You want to make sure it's going to be taken care of.
This has been very educational, but Mickey's hands are starting to get in the
No
wrong
problem.
direction. I want to thank you very much, John Bruac,
Thank you.
president of the Rogers Park
Yes.
Builders. Marty Max, 6 years prior, president of the Rogers Park Builders, and thank Mike Glasser, who 6.5 years ago was head of the Rogers Park Builders, for talking about the topic. I want you guys back. I want to talk more about this because I'm not saying that tenants don't have rights either, but you know what? Landlords have rights too. And without the landlords, there wouldn't be any tenants.
Yeah.
Right.
So you'd have 10 cities and things like that. So thank you very much, guys. I want to wish you all the best.